Hey guys, 2017 is coming to a rapid close. In fact, if you're watching this in 2018, then 2017 is already gone. Now the question is, what's going to happen in 2018? Today, Justin and I are going to give some of our predictions. Hey guys, welcome to the final episode of CTA Live for 2017. I am Dave Curley, founder of Church Training Academy, and with me today is my lovely and talented co-host, Mr. Dr. the Amazo, Justin Nava. How you doing, buddy?
Doing good, and that's Mr. Justin Nava. I skipped med school for that reason.
You're like, I don't need that. I don't need that MD.
No interest in doctor anything. I am fine with Mr.
No, it's Justin Nava, MD, multidimensional.
Yes, I exist in 3 dimensions. Some say even a 4th. We just have to wait and see.
Yes. This is smell.
That was like a super deep meta joke right there for physics people.
Oh, he's got a million jokes, folks. He's funny.
That's great.
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't like to toot my own horn, but man, that was a good joke.
No, that was good. Your mother and I are very proud. Just want you to know that.
No, thank you.
Yeah. Hey, so
wait a minute.
Hey, so how's 2017 been for you, buddy?
2017 has been great. We kind of talked about our biggest lessons learned 2 weeks ago, and just reflecting back on that has been huge. I always say my biggest success of 2017 is keeping my child alive so she could turn 4.
Yeah,
and she's learning, she's growing, she's amazing. She's meeting Santa today, not for the first time, but she's going. I don't get to be there because I have work, but. It's been great. My wife still likes me, I'm assuming, because she keeps coming home. Yeah. And things are going good.
That's good.
How about you?
It's been like I said, it's been a year of challenges, a year of firsts, a year of figuring things out. We've struggled, we've had successes, we've had failures. Win some, lose some, that sort of thing. Let's talk about our 2018 predictions. First off, I'm curious. I want to backtrack just a hair. In 2017, for you, what came about, whether it's technology or in social media or what have you, that you hadn't really thought of, but you're like, holy cow, I can't believe this happened, and I love this. What was the thing that the technology or service or whatever that caught you by surprise?
Well, we talked about that a little bit in 2 episodes ago, and that was email.
Okay, it's been around since 1971.
Say that again?
It's been around since 1971.
Exactly. But everything makes a comeback, and email never really died to make a comeback. But, in the church communications world, we've been swept up with social media. Mm-hmm. It's an overcorrection because a lot of the times the church is behind the times.
Oh, yeah.
And so when Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and Snapchat and all those social media came about, a lot of people said, I can make sure the church is up to date. Mm-hmm. And we pretty much abandoned everything and went to social media. There are arguments every month about, if you're using direct mail, you're an idiot. If you're using email, you're worthless. Social media is where it's at. But once I actually started my own business and actually even branched outside of the church world and started doing secular, actual business freelancing and marketing coaching, I realized that email is still super powerful and still super relevant. And that was even more hammered into me when I started working at a university IT support and realized that whenever a student's email, and these are like 18, 19, 20-year-olds, whenever their email turns off, they call right away and try to get it turned back on because email is still super important. So, that was one thing that I learned from 2017 is that email is still really, really important. And even as I dive deeper into the marketing world and even in our church world, the big players all got their start because they had an email list.
Oh,
so that's huge for 2017. We'll talk about that too coming up in 2018.
Yeah, that's the email is like one pillar of like this core belief that I have and that you and I are teaching is that with all these other services that are out there. Those belong to other companies, and we rent space, on their servers. We rent space in their ecosystem, like Facebook and YouTube and Instagram and all that sort of stuff. We don't own any of that, so they can throw us off anytime they want. Yeah, I don't like it. My buddy Gary Leland, who is a huge online entrepreneur and has his own little media empire. He's kind of like the number one source online, like in the world, for like fast pitch softball, right? And so he has numerous private and not private Facebook groups. And he woke up one day and like 3 of them were gone. And these are groups that had 25, 30,000 people apiece. And he was never able to get them back. Had to start them all over. He doesn't own those. So when it's something like your email list, you own it. So, I mean, you can literally download that list from, whoever you're using, ActiveCampaign, MailChimp, whatever, and look at it in a spreadsheet. It's yours. It's not, you're just using their service, but the names are yours. And so that's something tangible that can't be taken away. So if all these other things fall apart, a church can still communicate with everybody who is on their email list, So what do you think is I don't know, maybe one of the dominant trends that you are thinking is going to be happening in 2018? I mean, we got 12 months for something to, explode or rise up. What do you think it's going to be?
So, we're speaking mainly about the church world, not because otherwise we could talk for hours about technology, and there's other guys that are doing a better job than we can. But as far as speaking specifically to the church world, I think the most dominant trend from everything that we kind of have listed that we're going to talk about is going to be a general marketing sense to move from blasting to the masses to actual one-on-one conversation. Now, the technology that we'll use will continue to evolve, but I think we're starting to see a shift now, and especially thanks to people like Kenny Jang, who preaches email. And one of the reasons why I finally turned back to it is, I think we have seen that Facebook as a bulletin board doesn't work. And so now we're using it for brand awareness and encouragement for those things, but it's still one to many. We're still saying, hey, y'all, here's a verse, or hey, guys, here's an event coming up, or did you all see this video? I think we'll see a shift in the way that's done in the church world to where we'll finally realize that people don't come to church or build relationships because of a mass communication. They come because someone talked to them one-on-one. Now, the ways we can do that are, the more sexy way, chat bots.
Oh,
right?
Sure.
People can get involved in Facebook and then start a relationship with a chat bot that will eventually turn into speaking to someone one-on-one, or going back to email. I think we'll see a lot more people adopting the lead magnet, conversion tool where we can give them a devotional or give them something in return for their email, and then we can nurture them into actually making a visit. Also, texting is still on the rise. Text in Church is a fantastic platform, and they have a great content strategy, and they're just, from what I can see, they're just growing like crazy, and they have some great leadership behind them. So I think, for one of the major shifts, I'm calling it right now, it's still going to take a few months, but we're going to move from the one-to-many broadcast to getting that conversation that we use from social media. We're going to convert them into one-on-one dialogue where we introduce them to the church, our mission, our values, our pastor, and nurture them to actually make a visit in person.
Right, and that speaks in some cases to one of mine, which is a larger technology that I think in this case can be applied, which is the artificial intelligence and the using things like the chatbots that when someone meets a certain criteria or types something specific or asks a specific question or what have you, then a bot can turn around and answer that question based on a certain list of criteria. So I see stuff like that, like the artificial intelligence, becoming more and more user-friendly, becoming more and more ubiquitous, and then kind of melding into, you get some of your basic information that you need. Someone responds to a video or to an email or something like that, and then a chat bot pops up. They start a little, they ask them, "Are you currently going to a church? Are you doing something?" And it can be done in a very conversational, I'm talking to a real person kind of a feel, and then at a certain point, it just changes over to an actual conversation with somebody. Yeah, I'd love to meet the pastor, and all of a sudden, boom, one of the pastors pops up there and goes, "Hey," and it sort of bridges that, almost where the chatbot can do some of the introduction, I guess you could say. So I see the artificial intelligence at large becoming a lot a lot more ubiquitous throughout technology, and I see us working the benefits of that into the church as well.
Yeah, artificial intelligence. I think I think we're gonna see the max of it with dynamic treeing of the AI. If the person says this, tell them this, or if
Mhm.
they do this, or if they like this, present them with this.
Mhm.
I think actually in 2019, I still think we're still a ways from this. We're actually going to get into data mining and discovering how to better present the gospel depending on who we're presenting it to.
Right.
So we talk about this a lot, on social media. People in the morning want encouragements. In the afternoons, they want quick facts, quick wins. And then in the evenings is when you actually get to hit them with, longer encouraging stories and more sensitive matters. And Facebook is really getting into that too, as far as what it delivers. And just knowing that, pay attention to what Facebook serves you in the morning. It'll be real quick, real encouraging, just like, oh, okay, scroll. Oh, that's nice, scroll. But in the afternoons, it'll be more facts and figures, things to kind of like wake you up to the day and
Yep.
what's going on around the world. And then in the evening, Facebook, it's going to serve you more videos. It's going to serve you more stories. It's going to serve you more of the things like, oh, I had knee surgery today. I thought it was a blood clot, but oh, I'm so glad to be alive kind of thing, where really more introspective and more sensitive matters. I think we're going to catch on to that a little bit more and start using data mining to figure out what kind of information to serve to who and where. I don't think we're going to be there in 2018. I think it's going to top with the telling the AI what to do with certain variables, but not so much discover those variables. I think we're going to get more into that in 2019.
Yeah, I can see that, where it's been gathering the list of variables, the list of criteria and stuff has been growing over time, and it's been learning how people are reacting based on those variables, and then can start doing some predictive modeling as to what I see a time. And like you said, it's probably not going to be 2018, but I see a time where we will be able to have, if you've liked our Facebook page, then our AI, our bot or what have you, is paying attention to you at some level and pay attention to your Facebook activity and the things that you're interested in at a certain level, and is monitoring. And when we all do this, dude, today has been like the roughest day I have ever had. And then all of a sudden, because of that, something gets put out into the Facebook stream from the church to that person, whether it's just an encouragement thing or it could be just a little chat message. Hey, it's been a rough day for a lot of folks and stuff. Would you like to talk? And then all of a sudden it connects you with one of the ministerial team or something. Hey man, what's been going on? Why has it been so rough? What happened? That sort of thing. And it can be used as a trigger to bring about the one-on-one that you've been talking about. I can definitely see that happening.
Right. And that's pretty cool. Kenny Jang's ears were burning because he's in the Facebook chat now.
Hey, hi, Kenny.
I think you missed it, but I had mentioned, how you're one of the biggest proponents of email right now in the church world, and you're bringing it back. And that's my prediction. Email's making a comeback in 2018.
Speaking of, when I did a Skype with Kenny a couple months ago. Actually, Kenny's the one that introduced you and I. And we definitely need to have him on the show and talk about maybe email in the church and areas that he sees that the church is could win more, and where they're just totally missing it. And he's a great resource. By the way, guys, if you don't know who Kenny is, just look him up. Go check out Church Butler. What is it? Butler.church? Isn't that the
I think
the
so.
URL?
Yeah, Butler.church.
Yeah, go check out Kenny. He's a really good thought leader in our space. Really good, and he's the one that brought Justin and I together. So thanks again, Kenny.
Yeah. All right. So moving on. Let's kind of hit some social medias.
Please.
I think Facebook is hitting its peak, and I think in 2018 it is going to peak. And we've already seen kind of some people saying, "Oh, I'm noticing I'm really just getting more friends and family in my feed and not as much pages I like." I think Facebook's finally going to hit that bubble and say, if you really want to get in people's feeds, you're going to have to become a sponsored post.
Yeah.
I think
that's already happening.
people are using.
Yeah. That's happening.
I think
huge.
a lot of more people are using Facebook like LinkedIn, and they're building their professional relationship there. And then on the flip, I think a lot of people too are starting to unfriend the people they don't talk to since high school, or the pages that randomly pop into their feed.
Mhm.
Not to say that there won't be any organic things. I think if you interact with a page, then Facebook might serve a couple of posts organically. But I think we're still going to see that number go from 6% to 3%. And to really only reliably be in people's feeds, you're going to have to do a sponsored post, or boosted post, or do an advertisement like that, unless people actually specifically go to their page's feed. But I think that's where we're headed. I think Facebook's going to bubble out, and that's what's going to come in 2018.
That's interesting. It's definitely, we've definitely been seeing that organic reach as far professionally for businesses is definitely a whole lot lower. And Facebook's job is to make money. Their job is to make money by selling advertising, and the way they do that is by providing a social user experience for everybody on the platform, and try to make that experience as visually appealing as possible. So, I've heard a lot of marketers and stuff say you have to remember that Facebook is a social platform. So yeah, I can definitely see, and it has been organic for pages, has definitely been going down. What I'm hoping is it doesn't become cost prohibitive for a company to be able to buy the reach. I like the idea that you can sponsor a post, boost a post for $1 a day or $2 a day or something, and get that message out there. And if you want to do it for $10 a day, you can do that. I don't want to see where a company has to, they got to spend $4,000 a month if they're going to get any kind of traction and stuff. Because you might as well look somewhere else. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's been Facebook's bread and butter. I think that's baked into their B2B branding. So I don't think it'll ever become cost prohibitive. The cost is going to go up. It's just like with anything, it's no longer 2 cents to reach 100 people.
Sure.
So the cost will go up, but I don't think it will be prohibitive that a startup or a church could not use the Facebook ads. I wish I could make a prediction on Facebook groups, because a lot of pages and businesses are turning their businesses are turning their pages into groups.
Sure.
Because groups has the more organic reach. I think Facebook's going to kind of catch on to that probably in the fall of 2018, and they're going to start limiting group reach, probably introduce some kind of boosting for group reach. And we'll see a similar trend there, because there's Facebook groups for everything now, and they're mostly run by pages, by businesses. And so I think Facebook's going to catch on to that and say, okay, guys, you've had your fun. Now you got to start paying, because you're not paying for ads anymore. So same thing, the money's got to flow from somewhere. So I think around the fall 2018, Facebook is going to start honing in those groups and say, okay, we got to start doing some sponsoring here.
I think
that's another prediction.
I think that I don't know necessarily that they're going to do that. I think if you think about the social experience, the group is the when we started noticing that we weren't seeing a lot of stuff happening from pages. I went out and I found a page from whatever company or whatever influencer that I like, and I said like, and basically that's me saying I want this in my feed. And then Facebook said, well, you may want this in your feed, but you're not going to get this in your feed unless the other people who are doing this start paying us. That's not cool, but I can understand it. If they start doing that with groups, then I think Facebook as a platform is going to start dwindling, because how much more purposeful can you say? It would be like saying, I am a local businessman, and I want to join the Chamber of Commerce and help grow the downtown business district. And then the Chamber of Commerce going, don't tell him when the meetings are. You know what I'm saying? I don't see them doing that. Because how much more purposeful can it be? We are creating a group around a certain topic, and this is where we want to meet. And then Facebook saying, well, the owner of the group's going to have to pay if you guys are going to want to do that. You know what? We're going to go and set up something else somewhere else. the next iteration of forums that are actually much more manageable and easy to work with will start showing up on people's websites, and Facebook is just going to start suffering. I don't think that they're going to do that.
Okay, so that's going to be one thing that we disagree on.
Yeah.
I think Facebook, even if it's not what I said, they may come up with a separate monetization thing.
They can put ads in groups.
These groups are going to have to do. They're going to do something with these groups, because there's people now that are saying Facebook page. Who cares? If you want to start a business and you want to be on Facebook, make a group.
Yeah.
And I think Facebook's going to catch on to that. It's going to take till the end of the year.
We go into a group. But, we still see ads.
Some kind of monetization of those groups.
Well, we still see ads. We see ads in the column, in the right hand column in a group. It's just like any other Facebook. The Facebook interface really doesn't change drastically when you get into a group. I think maybe
right, but I'm saying just to appear in the feed or get the notification. When someone in the group does that, when someone posts in a group, you can set it. I think it's automatically for some groups, or I don't know how it works, but I get a notification. So-and-so is posted in the so-and-so group. I think Facebook's going to finally just hone down, and they're going to be the bad guys, but making pages because they have a group now that can do everything for free. Facebook's going to monetize that somehow. And they're probably going to become the bad guys, but they lived through the decline of page reach, and they're going to figure out how to. They're much smarter than me, so they'll figure it out, even if it's not the way I think.
I think they'll be dropping relevant sponsored stuff in the groups, and we'll start seeing, if you're in a group, you may start seeing like an IBM Watson ad or something like that, being a part of that. I think something like that makes more sense than literally, biting the hand that's feeding you,
having to pay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think I just think they would be shooting themselves in the foot. I really do, and I think there would be a lot of backlash, and I think they would backpedal very quickly and get it straightened out. That's my prediction.
All right,
I have a prediction that is video wise. We already know that video is like the most effective way to communicate information. It's much more engaging than reading something. It's much more engaging than looking at a pretty picture with words. I think, and I've been in and around this space for about 5 or 6 years. When like 360 video first started coming out, I mean, back in 14 when we built our big studio, we had one of the people that came and was officing in our space, renting an office from us, was a guy who was developing 360 video. And so I've been watching this grow over time, and I've played with the cameras early on, and I've seen it this year has gotten, especially the last 6 months, has taken a better foothold. And I think 2018 is going to be something that en masse is going to become much more available. The video platforms are allowing you to stream in some cases 360, definitely upload 360. The editing platforms have an option when you are bringing in footage or when you're outputting footage. This is VR footage or this is 360 footage, and it treats it as such. I am going to sometime this year get my hands on a 360 camera, and I'm going to start playing with it in the church environment, and I can see worship services, worship sets, and things like that done in or streamed in 360 on the stage, where a viewer can be on the stage with the worship team watching it as it's going on, or with their special events. You have, when you have a guest speaker or something like that, you have a 360 camera that's on the stage with them for a more immersive experience. And I think as we move into, that's great when it's fun when it's on a screen, but we're also going to be seeing, I think, more of the goggles and VR and things like that becoming interfaces that we are okay to use for certain things. And I think we'll get to a point maybe by the end of the year where more people are using the VR for some of this stuff, where it's like, hey, I'm going to watch the stream for the church, and you can put on a thing, and there it is, and it's like no big deal. It's sitting over here. I think the Oculus Rift is still really, really expensive, but there's other options out there that just involve your phone and a $10 frame from Walmart that you can get. And I think we'll start seeing some of those more readily used, less novelty and more, hey, I'm going to do it this way. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you. 360 video is going to be huge
Hmm.
in 2018. How much does a average consumer 360 camera cost right now?
$299. For
299.
yeah,
Okay,
that's for one that's two
capable. Yeah.
180-degree lenses on either side, like the Ricoh Theta or something like that. They're in the $300 range. But there's
Okay.
things that there's adapters and things that you can put on your phone
Yeah.
to
I
get
think
started.
I think it will. I think once it gets down to about 150,
Hmm.
we'll see churches starting to buy into them.
Yeah.
Here's what I want to see with 360 video. I want to see someone, a men's group, meet for their normal men's Bible study,
Hmm.
plop a
Yep.
360 camera down in the middle, and that way at home I can join the meeting. But not only that, I can turn and look at the person that's talking or presenting or sharing.
Hmm.
If I want to get involved, I can probably type in the comments or whatever, and the leader knows, oh yeah, Justin said you made a good point, he had this story happen. Or maybe
Hmm.
I can hop in live, if you're doing a live
Yeah.
360, and then we can share screen and Justin can hop on and everyone can listen to him. I want to see 360 used for that.
Yeah.
Because I think, again, that's more getting into the relational setting of, one-on-one or one to a few inside of there. I would love to see that. So,
Yeah.
I think of a pastor in California, one of my former pastors, who does a pastor's porch. And people can come and have lunch with him and discuss something he's reading or whatever they do. But he can just stick the 360 camera on the table.
Yep.
And be like, hey, anyone wants to come and listen, you don't have to make it to the church. If
Right.
you only have a 30-minute lunch, tune in and you can turn and be involved. Or if you don't have the goggles,
Right.
mouse over and be involved in that conversation.
Yeah.
I still think VR is still a ways away. I don't think 2018 is going to be any bigger for VR, because you still need the investment, and not only the monetary investment to get the goggles and get the computer that'll run it, but also the real estate. I don't think we're there yet with people dedicating even half a room to be able to do something comfortably. I never could with my living room with the Kinect, and I think a lot of people I know with the Xbox Kinect couldn't really dedicate a lot of the room. You just kind of move the coffee table.
Well,
to the
yeah.
side.
I mean that there in that case we're talking about a more. I mean, we're talking about, like Ready Player One. We're talking about like where you join the Oasis and you need a good 5 feet around you and all this kind of thing. No, I'm not really talking about that. I'm talking about you're sitting at your desk or you're using your phone and you grab your Google Cardboard and you put it in and you slip it on, and then now you're a part of the thing. That's something that most people can do. I mean, seriously, you can run to Walmart and it's like $10. You can get. I mean, it's plastic. It's not even the Google Cardboard. It's like a $15 little plastic deal.
If you have a box, if you have a leftover moving box or just an Amazon package, you can make trace. You can print traces.
Yep.
And you can make your own at home.
Yeah, you can, and I think we're going to see stuff like that. I am also looking for some of the technology in the Oculus Rift to lower in price, and that the price of the standard, which is the Oculus Rift, which I've played with and is a tremendous device, that has to come down in price. It's owned by Facebook. So they're obviously going to be working more and more and more in this area. And we are going to be going into a virtual Facebook world. My buddy Leslie Samuel from Become a Blogger did a live stream in Facebook Spaces, I think is what it's called. And there's an avatar of Leslie, and he has his Oculus Rift on, and he's doing a live stream. And as his avatar is talking, if somebody joins him, just like when you're doing live streaming through the Facebook app, like on your desktop, and you can take someone in the comments and join them into your live stream. You can do that in here, except it shows up as a floating window, and there's a person. And as he moves around, that window can stay, or he can grab that window and pull it in. And like I'm doing with this, he can like pull it in and set that person like right there if he wants, and boom, there they are. And then comments and stuff, he can grab a comment card and hold it up, and here's the comment that the person just typed or whatever, and then he can throw that away. I think they're playing with that stuff. I think Facebook is going to be moving into that type of thing, and I think it's going to become ultimately, maybe in the next 3 or 4 years, the dominant way that we interface on Facebook is going to become much, much more virtual. And I think in that case, they're definitely going to have to come up with new ways of handling that data. The cool thing is that we may not. It may be easier because groups of people are congregating in certain areas, so to speak, as opposed to somebody's just one big single feed. that Facebook has to figure out how to get things into. It's like we're in a group and now we're going to do this, and now all of a sudden there's a dozen of us in there and we're all in kind of a virtual space, and then Facebook can do stuff directly to that little group, whether it's advertising or what have you. So, and it's going to be interesting to see how all this plays out, and if we actually ever do get to the oasis, as it were. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, there's a book out there called Ready Player One. It's just a novel. It's a techno thriller and stuff. It's don't let your younger kids read it and stuff because they got some harsh language in there. But it's kind of where a lot of this stuff could converge, and it'd be interesting to see if it actually were to ever get anywhere close to that. Anyway, close parentheses. You got another one?
Yep. I got time for one more.
Okay. Yeah, I know you got to get back.
You wanted to talk about it. Do you want to hit net neutrality?
Just to say that there's a whole, in my opinion, there's a whole lot of much ado about nothing. In 2015, before the net neutrality law came into place, things were fine. We did have issues like you brought up in our discussion the other night that AT&T is like, well, you can't use FaceTime because we want you to use ours and stuff. And I know everybody's worried about that sort of stuff. The reality is that's not going to happen. There's going to be, we live in a time where if a Seattle, bakery says, no, thank you, we're not going to do a wedding cake for your lesbian funeral, the world goes crazy, and Twitter bots and all this sort of stuff in an uproar, and they shut down, private enterprise businesses and stuff. I don't see any reason why that same kind of backlash won't happen when a provider says, we're going to cut off part of the internet from you. If you're on our service, you don't get to use part of the internet. Then someone is going to come up and say, use our service. And we see stuff like that where, in our area, there's like 2 cable providers that you can get. It can either be Time Warner Spectrum or you can be AT&T Uverse. Okay, that's what we have in our area. But we have antennas, so you can put an antenna up. That's a technology that's been around for a long time, but it's the third option that people don't think of. Down where my parents live, there's other stuff where you see a trailer that has an antenna that goes up and has this little microwave dish sitting on top, and it's pointed to someplace 30 miles away, and they're getting cable basically. It's not satellite, it's not Time Warner Spectrum, it's this other thing. So there's going to be another thing. If a company like AT&T or Spectrum or Comcast or whatever has the balls to come forward and say, hey, population that is using our service, that is paying for our service, you can't get on Netflix and you can't use Amazon, then that company is going to suffer mightily for doing something like that. Their job is to have paying subscribers. And in a world of cable cutting and all that sort of stuff, they are all realizing that being a dumb pipe is where they're headed. So creating content that comes down that dumb pipe is great. If they try to act monopolistically, being a monopoly is not illegal. Acting in an antitrust fashion where you are limiting people's access to get other stuff like that, they will suffer for that. Because people will simply say, you know what, it's not that important. And they just won't, they won't deal with it. Or, something will happen. We're not at their mercy. They're at our mercy. Close parentheses. Are you still there? You're all still?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay.
So we have the same prediction, but for different reasons. Again, looking at 2018, I don't think anything is going to happen for because of the repeal of net neutrality. It's too soon. It's too fresh on people's minds. And they know the backlash is going to be huge because it's still fresh on people's minds. Like not even 1 year has passed, and most of 2018 will be. You know what I'm saying? Like most of 2018 will fall into less than 1 year since the repeal has gone through.
Sure.
So I think the companies will be smart enough to know we shouldn't do anything right now. Now they're not ever going to announce, hey, we're going to slow down your Netflix unless because we want you to use Hulu because we are part owners of Hulu.
Mhm.
They're never going to announce that. It's just going to happen slowly and gradually, and it won't be until about 2000.
And class action
they may not
lawsuits
start
will
to slow
happen.
down until 2019, but
No.
they're just going to happen. But I don't think anyone's going to actually implement anything until later on. Later on down the road.
There's going
2018. It's not going to.
Yeah,
Nothing's going to be different.
Anything like that. There's going to be class action lawsuits. There's going to be antitrust lawsuits. There's going to be stuff like that is happening. I mean, if GM also was part owner of, Shell Oil or something like that, that would be tantamount to saying that GM is going to make it so that their cars run really good on Shell Oil, but if you want to put Mobil in it, then I mean it'll turn over and the engine will fire and it'll drive and stuff, but you may get absolutely horrible mileage because we're going to change something in the computer and stuff. Stuff like that gets weeded out and gets either through people or through stuff like an antitrust lawsuit, where big stuff like that comes up and gigantic fines come. AT&T, they learned a lot of stuff about that with like slamming back in the day, where they would just blanketly take a group of people and say, you're on our long distance now. And then when people threw a fit, they go, oh, okay, here's $20 and we're sorry. And they change you back over to MCI or Sprint or whoever it was, stuff like that is going to happen. If there is going to be any kind of regulation and stuff, I think it's going to be at a higher level where it's like, hey, you can have a monopoly, you can't act monopolistically. And I think
basically what the net neutrality laws were.
Yeah, but the net neutrality laws, there was a whole lot of other things in there, and what it did was it barred a company from two companies working together to create a competitive advantage, and that is wrong. And you can't do stuff like that. You need to be able to say, hey, if you're going to offer access, then everybody needs to be able to have access. Okay, and if you're going to allow someone to, if a service is going to be allowed to be sold in the United States, then just like an 18-wheeler needs to be able to drive on Highway 77 and Interstate 35, and they can pay and get on the toll road. So if those companies want to pay a little bit more, and the trucking company is going to have a competitive advantage over Bill and Ted's Excellent Trucking Company because they can afford the tolls to pay the tolls and get there faster, then that's great. That's great for them, and that's great for their end users and stuff. However, for net neutrality to come in and say no one's allowed to use the toll roads, you all have to use the potholes that are on Highway 77. That's what net neutrality was doing. You can't do that. You punish a company that acts in an antitrust manner by fining them and doing all sorts of stuff like that, but you don't say nobody's allowed to come up with a competitive advantage and cut deals and provide real choice for a consumer. Make sense?
No, and that's a different discussion that we'll maybe have.
You said you're a libertarian, are you? Are you really? Are you really?
Yes, I am really a libertarian, which speaks a lot that I supported the net neutrality rules.
Yeah.
Basically because the government messed it up in the first place by allowing no compete contracts in cities.
And see, that's
allowing companies to have monopolies in these cities.
And that's a thing that has to be remedied.
And now, granted, the best thing would be to say, oh, deregulated. We're not going to have any hands in it. But that's not the world we live in. We need to make the rules that apply to the rules we live in. And like I said, this has nothing to do with 2018 predictions because our prediction is the same. Nothing will change. Everything's going to be the same for 2018. But this is not a politics. This is not not even a general technology podcast. It's specifically speaking to churches. And I think we agree that for churches, net neutrality in 2018, nothing to worry about.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Your live streaming won't be affected. Your downstream won't be affected. Maybe we can have a conversation, maybe in the CTA Insiders group.
Yeah.
Or we'll do a separate live, maybe in person or something like that.
Do you see in a church space? Do you see things like Alexa and Google Home and Siri becoming more and more used?
Yes, I do. The problem is it's still so segmented. The thing is, this is something Brady Shearer says, and I try to share with other people, is that everything works. You can send mailers, you can do Facebook ads, you can go knocking on doors, and someone will come to church. Everything works. The problem is that because everything works, you have to decide what is more efficient for your budget. We talk about, the church's budget is one of the most valuable things you ever have to fight for or fight against. And so Alexa would absolutely work for the church. Hey, Alexa, give me my, I'm sorry, I just set off everything. Dang it. Anyone who listening with an Alexa just got set off. Hey, give me my flash briefing. Oh, today's flash briefing is from First Baptist Church. And then here's a proverb and what it can mean for you today. Right. That's awesome. You can do the same thing on Google Home, and you can do the same thing for Siri. The problem is each one of those takes time and research. And, if Frank, who also does the live stream, who also does the website, who also does the social media, if he's got to now do Alexa skills, right, then that website's not getting updated. That social media is not going to get a post for that day.
What's going to happen?
The bulletin's not going to get proofed. So everything works, but you got to decide what's going to be the biggest investment for you. Right. That's the problem.
And I think that just like we had services like Hootsuite and these others where you can kind of congeal all these different social medias into one panel and one dashboard and stuff. I think we're going to end up with, and you're seeing this with app development, where you can use Bill and Ted's App Builder, and you can get everything put together that you want for your app, and then you can say, make it on iTunes or on iOS, make it for Google, and then it goes in and puts in the things that are necessary and specific to those platforms so that it will work seamlessly on both platforms. And I think what's going to happen is that there's going to be some company or somebody that is able to, either using the SDK or an API framework, and be able to tap into that so that you can have an iOS device and use Google as your primary deal, or you can have an Alexa device and you can say, play something. We can already see these devices talking to things in other ecosystems, right? With If This Then That, and Zapier and stuff like that. These services that bridge, these macros basically that bridge these two things. If something happens on this platform, then make this happen on this platform. So there's going to be stuff like that. We're already seeing it. I think there will end up being this. If you install this app on your phone and it's a cross-platform thing, then you have access to, your Google stuff. You have access to your Alexa stuff, and no telling with Siri. I mean, that's
will
Apple.
That come in 2018?
I think we'll start seeing the seeds of that. I mean, we're already seeing the seeds of that just by sheer fact that If This Then That exists, and it has for 6 or 7 years now. I think there will be something. And it may be through one of those two platforms, or it may be somebody that comes up with something else that I talk to everybody. I mean, there's already third-party assistants out there that are not from the big three, and I mean, Facebook hasn't even dipped its toe really into that space. Thank you guys so much for watching. Justin, thanks for being here. It has been a great. How long have you and I been doing our thing? When did we come together?
September 27th is when I came on CTA for the first time.
Okay. So you and I have been running this little enterprise we're trying here for
Up to 3 months.
About 3 months, yeah. So
yep. And you started a lot of it. You grew the first subscribers, and the people that we subscribe to us on YouTube and the people that find us through other means. It's because of the groundwork that you've laid. Because you've already started this back in 2015, and you already have videos with thousands of views because you've already SEO'd those videos and they've lived there and they're tested by YouTube. And so whatever success we have right now in the 3 months is really due to the groundwork that you've laid, and the audience that you've already built up, which is no light thing to take.
Well, I appreciate that. And now we're amplifying and focusing and, trying to be as purposeful as possible. And that's in large part thanks to you, because I have somebody that I can throw an idea at who can slap me and say, no, it's a stupid idea. We'll do that next month.
And Michelle, don't leave it there, because you slap me back and you're like, no, I disagree with that too.
Yeah.
And then it's a back and forth.
Yeah.
Our messenger, if we ever publish our messenger threads, people will be like, oh my gosh, these guys hate each other.
Yeah.
The show is a lie.
No, actually, hey guys. So those of you that are interested in doing live streaming or adding live streaming to your ministry, there's a lot you can do with it. I mean, there's a lot you can do with it. It's not just broadcasting your service. I mean, it can actually be a really effective communication tool. So if you're thinking, if the idea is out there and you can see it as something, even a cursory interest, then go to easylivestreaming.com, and we've got a free ebook for you there called Live Streaming for Churches the Easy Way. It's really short, but it basically explains to you the 4 levels of live streaming and how you can start applying live streaming as a part of your ministry, like today. Like you could sit down and read this over lunch and then, get up and start live streaming in your ministry as soon as you're finished with it. I mean, that's how much good information is in there, and it really opens your eyes. So definitely go and grab that. Guys, thank y'all so much for watching, and we have really enjoyed hanging out with you guys this year. We've enjoyed growing with you guys. Those of y'all that have been with me personally for the last year as I've been building this up, and the fits and starts, and the just the challenges and stuff that I've gone through, all the encouragement that you guys have been giving, y'all, it has been invaluable. Is that a word? Invaluable? Valuable. It sounds like you're saying it's not been valuable. It's been huge, and it really has. It's been extremely encouraging. So 2018 is going to be great, and just remember all the stuff that we're teaching you guys, the things that we're sharing with y'all, the insights we're getting from you and then sharing with others and all that. The whole goal is to fulfill the Great Commission. That's what we're doing. So take what you've been learning this year and what you're going to be learning in 2018 and go out there and change some lives. God bless you guys. Thank y'all so much for a great 2017, and I cannot wait for the cool things that we're going to be doing in 2018. God bless you guys.